What's happening? I want to take a few minutes to talk about a question I got in class the other day about specifically burpees, but the topic is more what I would want to discuss in tune with the burpees. So the question was, how do I get better at burpees? The simple answer is to do more burpees and do them faster in a more compressed time. But this is also known as building your work capacity, and that's kind of what the discussion is on here. And so it was, I really think the question was, how do I get better at burpees? I don't think that ever is a thing. You just get to where you can move more efficiently. You can do more of them without them wearing you out as much, and that is the key to it. And if we apply that thought process across all of our movements, that in essence is what we call building our work capacity. Let's say your capacity is right here, and you got to do 100 burpees, right? Capacity here, here's the burpees, and then when they hit what your current capacity is, you start really slowing down, having to take longer breaks, jacking your heart rate up too high, and it just feels like you're slogging through them. Versus somebody else whose work capacity is up here, and it takes them a little longer to get to that failure point. Higher work capacity means that you have the ability to do more work faster in a given time. So when we have a workout like 100 burpees for time, or Fran is always a good example of this, which is 21 thrusters. Pardon me, thought I turned that off. 21 thrusters, 21 pull-ups, 15 thrusters, 15 pull-ups, 9 thrusters, and 9 pull-ups. That workout, if done properly, can really hurt. And there's some other pieces that go along with this, like intensity, relative intensity, and things like that. But those who have a very, very high work capacity can do this workout as written in under 3 minutes. And for those that's given the appropriateness of being able to do kipping pull-ups all the way through, being able to do their thrusters without putting the bar down at the weight prescribed, which is 95 pounds. Now, we take the idea of somebody's current capacity and ability, and if we plug and play that, you can have the same work capacity and intensity as somebody who's finishing this workout in 3 minutes at 95 and kipping pull-ups to somebody that can do it with, say, a 35-pound bar and ring rows. That person's capacity is lower than this person's if we try to match the weight in the pull-up. So if your pull-ups aren't very good, meaning you don't have the ability to do, let's say, 21 in a row without dropping off the bar, then we can take these two comparisons and the capacities will be very different, meaning we know this for a fact because somebody who finishes this in 3 minutes and it takes another person 9 minutes to finish that workout. Two different things. So how do we get better at that? And it's pretty simple. There's two options. One is a lot better than the other, but sometimes the other is necessary. Number one is consistently working under your threshold of tolerance. So if you know that your 100 burpees for time takes you 10 minutes, and this person over here, it takes them 5 minutes, how do we compare the two? Well, we either give you a 5-minute cutoff and you try to get as many as you can. And then over time, we work on your conditioning, and then we say, all right, we've practiced your conditioning for 2 months. Let's try your burpees for time in 5 minutes again. How many can you get? And if you went from 50 in 5 minutes to 75, you know that your work capacity has increased. So staying under this line to where you can call it a red line, you can call it whatever you want, is realistically how you build up your work capacity. So that means using weights that you can handle, and sometimes we don't like what those weights are because they are lighter. That's why in here you don't see a whole lot of prescribing weights. We do have, hey, I wouldn't use more than this, but nowadays it's not necessarily RX weight is 135. It's we're going to cap you at 135, but here's the stimulus we're looking for. That way it allows you to kind of know what you can handle, and those that have been around a little bit longer will kind of understand that. Know that, okay, if we do Fran at 95 pounds, then I know that I can't do 21 thrusters in a row without putting the bar down. So we make the adjustment based on your ability to do so. So in the case of the burpees, because we all don't like burpees for the most part. I mean, it's not a fun movement. They hurt, and they do slow us down. So this particular question was, how do I get better at them? And the answer to that is start trying to do more in a shorter time while being consistent in the gym over time. Conditioning in general is going to help your burpees, but doing burpees is also going to help your burpees. So that's where the other side of this comes in. You can practice a 75-pound thruster and try to get more done at X time with that 75-pound thruster. So let's say you have a minute, and in this given minute, you can do 20 thrusters. And then a month later, you can do 20 thrusters at 75, or you can do in a minute at 75 pounds of thrusters, you can do 35. Equivocally, we can say that your work capacity has increased. Realistically, what's happened is you've just gotten better at doing thrusters at 75 pounds. This is where the strength piece comes in to your work capacity. But you have to be careful with the strength piece, because if you're overloaded, A, you're probably having to brake too much. B, the intensity applied at that weight may be more than you can handle, and we would be more prone to getting injured because we are above our ability to do that work. So there comes a time and a place, and you kind of have to know where that is. It's somewhat on the coach to know where that is too, especially if they've known you for a period of time, to say, okay, I'm going to sacrifice my time on this to do a little bit more weight, knowing it's going to help me increase my capacity. So the argument there is, and this has been the argument in CrossFit, if you can do those 75-pound thrusters, 35 of them in a minute, that should translate to you being able to do 95-pound thrusters in a minute over X amount of reps. Right? It's heavier, but since you've increased your capacity, you should be able to handle a 95-pound thruster a little bit easier, right? Versus when you were able to do 20 reps at 75 pounds and you tried 95-pound thrusters right after that, you would see the difference, if that's making sense. It's making sense in my head. I hope it's making sense to you. So the point here is two of them. It's the same with like the assault bike. If you don't like to do the assault bike, you get on and you do the assault bike. You have to apply your intensity that you have to that movement in a given time frame over a period of time. And you get better at it by doing them. So in this particular instance with the burpees, my recommendation was, let's try to do 100 burpees in 10 minutes. Or let's do X amount of burpees on the minute for 10 minutes. Maybe this week it's 7. Maybe next week it's 8. The next week it's 9. And if you can't get those 9 in that minute, then the next week it's 9. Until you're comfortable bumping up, then you can do 10. And if you can comfortably do 10 or more in that 1 minute without it completely exhausting you over 10 minutes, I would bet to say that you could do your 100 burpees for time in a lot faster time frame than when we started. And it's simply because you're learning how to build your capacity up to do that movement. A lot of roundabout going on here. So let me just summarize. Capacity is built by doing the work required with the intensity that you are able within the realm of your ability. So it's not going to be beneficial for you to just slog through 100 burpees when we know that the stimulus we're looking for in those burpees is for 100 for time. Let's say it's within 8 minutes. So why would we try to have you do 100 for you to branch out into 10 or 12 minutes? Instead, we say, okay, this is where the importance of cutoffs can come in, but sometimes you also just need to do the work. But the importance of cutoffs is you got the amount of work done that a higher level athlete can do in 8 minutes, and you did what you can handle. Therefore, we didn't necessarily break your tolerance level. And if you work within those parameters, you're more likely to hit and build that capacity faster because it's not overtraining you, it's not overstimulating you. Your recovery will be better, and you can stay healthy because you're staying below the cusp of your workload. I hope that made sense. Just know that for athletes that are longer into this, they can handle some of these things a little bit better and make those judgments based on what they need to do in their goals. For the newer athletes, the newer members, the newer people to training, you may have to adjust, and that's where scaling comes in with all of this, to make it fit with what you are currently able to do within that time. It's a little talk on work capacity. If you have any questions on it, drop it down into the comments and let's discuss it. Thanks for watching.